Hello everybody, thank you so much for tuning in this afternoon. My name is Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan. I am coming to you live from Cricket Field in Needham, Massachusetts. And I'm here for some high school girls soccer action between the hosting Needham High Rockets and the visiting Brookline High Warriors. These two teams faced off against each other in Brookline's house at Skyline Field on Tuesday, and Needham came away with a narrow 1-0 victory off of the foot of sophomore forward Caroline Hood. Scored the game's lone goal in the third quarter to deliver Needham a season-opening 1-0 victory. And yes, I did say quarter, because thanks to, well, the year that 2020 has been, new COVID-19 regulations have been put in, and instead of playing the usual 45-minute halves that soccer fans might be used to, we are instead playing 4 20-minute quarters. Of course, that's not the only impact that COVID-19 is having on this game. Prior to the game, I learned that 3 of Needham's key starters are actually out today, even though they played on Tuesday, because they are in quarantine since their math teacher tested positive for COVID-19. Those 3 players, senior midi Claudia Schmidt and junior forwards Maddie Ledbury and Jacqueline Pusillo. 3 pretty key players that provided a lot for the team on Tuesday. So we'll see what happens here as 2 teams get ready to come out onto the field. We've got Needham in dark blue, almost a navy blue, and Brookline in white. Brookline put up a good fight against Needham on Tuesday. They came out with some nice attacking chances in the first 2 periods, but in the third quarter, Needham made some great adjustments, had a dominant quarter, and managed to get 1 goal in the net, and that was all they ultimately needed. So with 4 quarters instead of 2 halves, as well as no timeouts, it creates a very unique situation when it comes to making coaching adjustments. And so we'll see what happens here. Once again, I am Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan, live at Cricket Field in Needham, Massachusetts, bringing you this girls' soccer rematch, as it were, between the Brookline High Warriors and the Needham High Rockets. Rockets won on Tuesday in Brookline 1-0, and they'll be looking to try and win again. We're about ready to get underway. Needham will start with possession. It'll be Sam Doria with the ball at center. She's got 1 wing off on the far side. I believe that is number 16, Aaron Walker. And we're underway. Doria kicks it back to Caroline Hood. Hood kicks it even further back along the far side over to Julia Ballas. Ballas sends it down to the far sideline. Needham trying to pass it along, get on the attack. They managed to get it across midfield, but it's a loose ball, and it's going to go out of bounds. So Brookline very quickly kicks it back in bounds, but the officials say, no, you got to get set up. So we'll be trying that one again. Brookline over on the far side, looking for a way to kick it in. It's kicked in. Passed around, goes to Hope Leshley. Leshley kicks it back, looking for a defender. The goalkeeper, Juliana Anastopoulos, has to charge in and kick it out, and it goes out of bounds. Dangerous pass, and I believe it was Sam Doria giving chase for Needham that forced Anastopoulos to charge out of the box and try and just kick it away, and it went out of bounds. So now Needham inbounding well in the Brookline zone. It's kicked in, it goes to Hood. Hood working against a defender over on the far side, and it gets taken away. Brookline with a nice takeaway. We're over in the far corner. Bit of a scrum for the ball. It eventually gets loose, and it's grabbed by Needham, kicked back in. And ball gets taken away by Brookline again, but that's going to be out of bounds on Brookline. That was Needham's number 8, Sophia Wolin, trying to work her way around the defense. Couldn't quite do it, so now Needham with the kick inbound again. Kicked in to number 24, then passed back. Floated towards the center. Takes an odd bounce and is picked up by Needham, but the attempted through pass is intercepted by number 16. And then the ball, after a scramble for the ball, it's eventually kicked away by Hope Leshley. Picked up by Daniela Levy. She passes it back, and then it's passed ahead. That goes ahead to Melanie Chernin. Chernin gives it over to Leshley, but Leshley has it taken away by Hood. And now, after Needham tried to retreat, it's taken away by Samantha Friedman. Friedman working against Julia Ballas, and Ballas gets the edge and takes the ball away for Needham. Now Ballas trying to work her way through, and we've got a whistle. That was either an out of bounds or a foul call. I think it was out of bounds, and so Needham will be kicking the ball in bounds. There's the whistle. Needham kicks it in. Try and boot it ahead, looking for an outlet. They find Aaron Walker along the far side. Kicked ahead, looking for Doria, but deflected by a Brookline player and collected. I believe that's Friedman who's collected it. Outlet pass over to Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan now sends it over to the near side. This is number 16, Mila Seifert. Passes ahead to Levy, then over to Chernin. Chernin with a nice touch pass over to Seifert. Seifert working along the near sideline. She passes it over to Chernin. Melanie Chernin centers it, and it's deflected off the foot of, I think, Friedman, who then deflects it over to Chernin. Chernin was trying to go for an outlet pass, but it gets taken away by Needham, and now Needham is working their way up with the ball. The pass goes to Caroline Hood. Hood keeps the ball safely secure, tries to pass it ahead to Doria, but it goes away, and instead it's picked up by Seifert. Seifert kicks it ahead, looking for Levy. Levy collects it, dribbling in space, over to Leshley, then away from Chernin, but over to Frankel. Frankel now dribbling, looking for an opening. Pass it over to Levy on the near side. Levy tries to pass, but miscommunicated, and it gets taken away by Needham's number 6, Catherine Reddish, who passes over to Hood, and then Hood boots one down deep into the Brookline end. I believe she's looking for Aaron Walker. Walker dribbling along the far side, trying to get the edge. A centering pass easily taken away by Brookline, but now Brookline trying to clear. They're along the far side, and eventually a centering pass. They get it over to Melanie Chernin, who then passes it over to Fagnan, then over to Frankel. Frankel trying to get around. She's looking to pass to Levy, but it gets deflected. So instead it's collected by Seifert after the deflection. Seifert with a centering 25, Lindsay Mahoney, who then passes it along to the far side. Brookline with a give and go, trying to make things move. They get across midfield, passed ahead to Friedman. Friedman trying to get around Julia Ballas once again, gets tripped up, and Ballas gets the ball and sends it on ahead. Needham now around midfield. That's number 6, that's Reddish. Boots it ahead, but it rolls safely to Juliana Anastopoulos, who picks it up. Throws it out to Seifert on the near side. Seifert sends a pass ahead to Daniela Levy. Levy tried for a centering pass, but her target wasn't there. It's picked up by Hood. Hood passes it over to number 8, Sophia Wolin, but Wolin's pass is errant and is taken away by Brookline. Brookline now working along the far side. Bit of contact there between Hope Leslie and Malin Carr, but eventually Leslie picks it up. She gets across midfield. Looking for a pass, she sends it along to Friedman on the far side. Friedman boots one in towards the box, juggled, but eventually collected safely by the Needham keeper, Cora Wainwright. Wainwright punts it, and a fight for the loose ball is kicked out of bounds, and it's going to be possession Brookline. And Mila Seifert kicks it in to Frankel. Frankel working against a defender, trying to find a way around, eventually passes it out to Leshley. Leshley dribbles around, passes over to Chernin in traffic, and it gets taken away by Hood. Hood tries to pass it over to 24, Maddie Foster, and Foster sends it ahead, but it's taken away by Brookline. But now Needham fighting for the ball once again. It goes loose, and it's picked up by Sam Doria. Pass over to Reddish. Tries to go back to Doria, but hits traffic, and it's kicked up in the air. Needham trying to collect it once again. Needham has control of it. That's Wolin. Wolin sending a pass down the far sideline, looking for Aaron Walker. Walker tries to center it, and I think that's either going to be a handball or a corner kick, as it was deflected by the Brookline defender. We'll see what they give him. Looks like this is going to be a corner kick. And it looks like it's Caroline Hood lining up for the kick, but also lining up is Sam Doria. Touch pass to Doria. Doria now working through traffic. She passes it back out to Hood. who then passes it to Wolin. Wolin almost had it taken away, but manages to pass it back to Malin Carr. Carr passes it back in. I believe that's Hood, who's trying to work against the Brookline defense. Defense manages to take it away and keep it in bounds. And now Brookline trying to clear. One of the defenders manages to boot it ahead into space, but it's taken away by Peyton Walker, who tried to send it inside, but it's taken away by Seifert. Passed ahead to Chernin. Now Chernin, working against Peyton Walker, ran out of space, but it went out of bounds, and it's Brookline ball. They kick it, and it bounced too hard off of the foot of Mila Seifert, goes out of bounds. Now Peyton Walker kicks it in for Needham, aiming for Doria, gets taken away by a couple of Brookline defenders, and a bit too physical on the scrum for the ball there, and ball goes to Brookline. Seifert kicks it to Chernin. Chernin sends back to Leshley. Leshley ahead, it gets away from Frankel, and is taken away by Julia Ballas. Ballas boots it over to the Brookline end, bounces off of Doria's chest, and it goes to Leshley. Leshley trying to dribble through traffic. She eventually gets an outlet pass over to Daniela Levy. Levy dribbles back and sends a pass back to one of the Brookline defenders. It's passed over to the far side to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney sends it along the far side. Brookline working around midfield. Pass is sent ahead down the far sideline. Brookline still trying to chase it down. A kick by one of the Needham players is deflected by Brookline, and they're trying to collect it. Brookline retreating, trying to find some space, but the retreating pass is taken away by Needham's Lydia Purder. Purder sends the through pass looking for Doria, and it gets kicked out of bounds by a Brookline defender. Needham well in the Brookline zone now, trying to get back on the attack. The inbound pass goes to Hood. Caroline Hood in space. A nice through pass. This is Maura Newman. Oh, but Anastopoulos gets in there in time. Dangerous play there. A great pass by Caroline Hood, but heads-up play by Anastopoulos in net to stop before Maura Newman could get a good shot on. Now we've got a goal kick for Anastopoulos. She's looking for where to kick it to. Seems a little confused, and eventually kicks it over to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney now kicks it into space. Finds a teammate, that's Sari Frankel, who then passes it over to the near sideline, over to Seifert. Seifert, working along the near side, sends a pass to the foot of Chernin, who tried to tap back to Levy. Almost loses it, but Levy recovers and sends a retreating pass back to Caroline Wolf. Wolf taps it back to Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos sends a pass over to the far side. Still in Brookline's possession. A give and go to try and work around some defenders. Now a pass up to Samantha Friedman. Friedman working just behind the midfield. Now sends a pass along to, I believe, Zoe Fagnan, who then sends it ahead, but it's intercepted by Needham. And now they try and work on the attack. The pass goes to Doria, who manages to tap it away from the defender over to Maura Newman. Newman now sends it along the near sideline looking for Doria, but it's taken away by Wolf. And now Seifert and Newman collide, fighting for the ball. And that's going to go out of bounds. Remain Needham's possession. Newman kicking the ball in. It gets kicked back and then taken away by Seifert. The loose ball collected by Melanie Chernin. Chernin tries to pass ahead, but intercepted by Hood. Hood sends a retreating pass back to Malin Carr. Carr now dribbling down the far side. Runs into Fagnan, and Friedman takes the ball away and kicks it ahead to Sari Frankel. Frankel now working along the far side. Dribbling towards the middle. Kicks it, looking for Daniela Levy. It's now a chase for the ball, and it's kicked away by Peyton Walker, and that's going to go out of bounds. Or will it? No, it won't go out of bounds. It's chased down. Attempted centering pass looking for Levy, and it gets intercepted by Needham, and they clear it. Well cleared, and that goes ahead to Lydia Perner. Perner now trying to fight through some defenders along the far side. Passing ahead looking for Doria. Doria going against Wolf, and either a foul or an out-of-bounds call. Either way, it remains Needham ball in the Brookline end. Needham getting set. Oh, this is going to be a... It looks like this might be a direct kick, which means they'll be able to put some air on this one. It's Malin Carr who sends it in over to the foot of Wolin, but it's deflected goes a little wild. Wolin has to fight for the ball, eventually finds some space, sends an inbound pass, and its shot is saved by Anastopoulos. Big opportunity there. I think the shot either came from Newman or Doria. Anastopoulos puts the ball down, and Doria provides some pressure, forcing Anastopoulos to rush the kick. It goes into open space and is collected by Levy. Daniela Levy now dribbling through the middle, passes ahead to Friedman. Friedman runs into a defender, that's Wolin, and now eventually turns around, kicks it ahead to Levy. Levy touches it over to Chernin. Chernin tries to send a through pass, but it's intercepted by Newman. Newman sends it across midfield over to Perner. Lydia Perner sends the pass to nobody, and it's scooped up by Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos decides to roll it over to Mahoney. Mahoney sends the kick down to the far side. Touch pass over to Zoe Fagnan. Then passed back to the far sideline, passed ahead to Samantha Friedman. Taken away by Needham, but the outlet pass is intercepted by Sari Frankel. Frankel now dribbling against a defender. That was Casey Rolfs on the defense, who eventually forces a kick that deflects and goes out of bounds. We've got a massive substitutions coming in, including for Brookline, number 21. Kellen McNamara. Brookline trying to work things ahead past midfield, kicked out of bounds once again by a Needham defender. That was Julia Ballas who kicked it out. So now Brookline working the inbound again, over on the far side. A little too hasty on that. Touch pass over to Alex Levy. Levy passes it back out to Fagnan. Fagnan tried to send a retreating pass to Mia Pujols-Brisello, but it's taken away by Needham, and now they're working. They get the ball over to the Brookline end, but it's taken away by the defender. That's Caroline Wolf, who sends it back to Anastopoulos. Back out to Wolf. Along the far side. And it gets taken away by Needham for a second, but then a whistle is blown. I think they might have called a foul on Needham. Now Brookline with the free kick in their own end. Pass is sent over to Pujols-Brisello. Briseno trying to pass it around. It almost gets taken away by Needham. Pujols-Briseno recovers. Sends it over to the near side. Over to number 9, Annabelle Meyer, who sends the retreating pass back to a defender, but it gets taken away. Then a foul call on Needham. That was Maura Newman and Sam Doria providing the pressure on Brookline's Caroline Wolf. Now Wolf with the free kick. She passes over to Pujols-Briseno, who then passes over to Meyer. A collision looking for the ball. Meyer comes away with it, finds some space, dribbling across midfield, tries to send a pass ahead to McNamara, but too far, and it goes out of bounds. Needham takes over in their own end. We've got some more substitutions coming in. This time for Needham.
On the whistle.
Caroline Hood and Sophia Wolin coming out in favor of number 5, Maddie Edwards, and number 14, Smith Scully. Needham kicks it in. A bit of a fight for the ball. Ball gets kicked away from the scrum, and it goes back to Caroline Wolf, who then kicks it back to Anastopoulos. Perner was providing the pressure, and Anastopoulos kicked it over to the far side. Samantha Scully trying to take it away from Brookline's Maddie Moore. It goes out of bounds, and so Maddie Moore will get the free kick. She kicks it in to Gianna Pentland. Then back to Moore, then back to Pentland. Pentland dribbling through traffic and gets the ball taken away. Now Needham with the ball, a pass back to Malin Carr, then over to Samantha Scully. Scully dribbling against a couple defenders, passes it back to Carr. Carr sends it through, but then gets deflected away by Brookline, winds up at the feet of Melanie Chernin. Chernin tries to dribble through, gets it deflected away. Ball is kicked in space and goes to Sam Doria. Doria attempted through pass. This one connected, that's Perner, and her shot is wide. Missed wide on her near side. And that'll be a goal kick for Anastopoulos. Few scary moments for the Brookline defense so far. Needham's put together a couple of nice attacks, but has yielded no scores thus far as Anastopoulos boots it over to the far side. Battle for the ball once again. It's Moore and Scully. Pass ahead gets taken away by Malin Carr and kicked deeper into the Brookline end. And then after a scrum for the ball goes out of bounds, and it'll be Brookline ball. No, it'll be Needham ball. So Needham looking for the inbounds kick. It's kicked back to Scully. Scully dribbles in some space. Running out of space, she tries to work her way around a defender. Working against Maddie Moore, she sends an outlet pass out to Carr. Carr tries to send it through to Perner, but it's deflected away. And now Brookline trying to clear it along the far sideline, but the ball gets taken away once again by Needham. An attempted centering pass for Doria gets taken away by Brookline. And now a pass sent over to the near side, over to Meyer. Annabelle Meyer dribbling in space, kicks it ahead looking for McNamara, intercepted by Peyton Walker. But then Walker couldn't quite control the loose ball, and it goes just out of bounds. We've got some more substitutions coming in. Sam Doria leaves for Caroline Hood for Needham, and Hope Leshley coming back into the game for Brookline. Inbound kick by Meyer over to McNamara. McNamara over to Melanie Chernin. Chernin, attempted touch pass, goes wide and is picked up by Scully. Then passed over to Newman. Newman tries to pass it ahead, but it goes wide and it's picked up by Wolf. Wolf kicks it over to the Needham end. A scrum for the ball with about 3 or 4 players. Ball goes loose, almost picked up by McNamara, but then deflected by Needham's number 3, Casey Rolfs, who then tried to clear it, but it's deflected out of bounds by Annabelle Meyer. Needham maintains possession, but still in its own end. Inbound kick by Walker over to Julia Ballas. Ballas clears it past midfield. Picked up by Caroline Hood in space. Hood dribbling, being pursued by Pujols Bruseno. A pass looking for Scully going out to the far side, but goes too far and goes out of bounds. Brookline will take the ball. Inbounds kick back to Lindsay Mahoney, who then tries to boot it. And I believe that was either out of bounds or a handball. Maddie Moore will be doing the inbounds kick once again. So first they need to get it to the proper spot. Looks like it was a handball, as they'll be kicking from inbounds. Tapped back to Mahoney. Mahoney then kicks it ahead, looking for Moore. Moore gets through a defender, then kicks it past midfield, but it's taken away by Needham, and I believe that was the whistle for the first quarter. So we are through one quarter here at Cricket Field in Needham, Massachusetts. The score, the hosting Needham High Rockets 0, the visiting Brookline Warriors 0. So after one still scoreless, I am Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan, live here at Cricket Field. I will be back with the second quarter of play after a brief mute break. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to Cricket Field in Needham, Massachusetts. I am Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan, bringing you this high school girls soccer match between the hosting Needham High Rockets and the visiting Brookline High Warriors. We're now getting ready to start the second of 4 20-minute quarters as mandated by COVID-19 regulations instead of 2 45-minute halves. The current score through one quarter of play, Needham 0, Brookline 0. Needham had a couple of nice chances in that first period, but nothing quite connected, and Brookline will start with the ball this period. Sorry, Frankel has the ball at the center. Daniela Levy on the near side and Samantha Friedman on the far side as we get ready to start this second quarter. There's the whistle. Frankel passes it back, and it's passed even further back over to Caroline Wolf along the defensive line, then kicked over to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney dribbles around one defender, then kicks it ahead, looking for Friedman. Bounces off her foot, but she collects it. Now trying to dribble through traffic. Gets around Rolfs. Sends a long pass ahead, almost connected with Frankel along the far side, but kicked out of bounds by Julia Ballas. Heads up defensive play by the Needham defender. So now Brookline will kick the inbound. It is kicked over to Friedman, then touched back to Maddie Moore. Maddie Moore working along the far side. She's gaining the edge, tries a centering pass, but can't quite do it. It's deflected out of bounds, and I think Brookline will be getting their first corner kick of the day. Yes, Brookline will be working from the corner. Sorry, Frankel and Maddie Moore heading over to the corner to get this play started. It's tapped over to Frankel. Frankel dribbling, passes back out to Moore. Moore now launches one into the box, and it bounces easily into the arms of Cora Wainwright, the goalkeeper for Needham. Wainwright boots it. Almost collected by Mia Pujols-Braceno, and then almost collected by Caroline Hood, but ultimately taken away by Caroline Wolf. Passes it ahead, then passed again, but it's intercepted by Needham. Now passed ahead to Sam Doria. Doria being chased by Annabelle Meyer. Meyer takes it away. Meyer now dribbling, trying to get it ahead, gets it ahead to Daniela Levy, but then it's taken away by Peyton Walker. A couple passes eventually get through to Maddie Foster. Foster then passes it over to Maura Newman, who gets across midfield. Passes it out to the far side, then back to Foster, then back to Newman. Newman kicks looking for Doria along the near side, but it goes out of bounds, and that'll be Brookline ball. Annabelle Meyer will be kicking the inbound for Brookline. Kicks back to Caroline Wolf. Wolf now kicks it along over to goalie Juliana Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos boots it high, looking for Levy. Levy collects it well, dribbling against Peyton Walker. Peyton Walker well defended and kicks it back, but collected by Mia Pujols-Braceno. Pujols-Braceno now dribbling through traffic, sends a pass along over to number 1, then back to Pujols-Braceno. Pujols-Braceno trying to send a pass ahead to Friedman. Friedman collects it, has to retreat a bit, and then pass it back out to Pujols-Braceno. Braceno sending a pass to the far side to nobody, and it's collected by Caroline Hood. Hood boots it out to nobody as well, but it's being chased by both Annabelle Meyer and Sam Doria, and Doria wins the race, and now has the ball along the far side, trying to dribble around Meyer. Passes it out to Newman. Maura Newman looking for an opening. Her kick gets deflected by Pujols-Braceno. It goes back to Maddie Foster. Foster sends a kick along the far side over to Malin Carr, who tries to dribble, but then has it taken away. And the loose ball is kicked out of bounds by Maddie Moore. We've got a couple of substitutions coming in for Needham after the ball was kicked out of bounds. Needham will be kicking it in deep in Brookline's end. We've got number 14, Samantha Scully, among those coming in. The inbounds kick goes to Malin Carr. Carr now dribbling against a defender. Passes it back out to Foster. Foster tries to send it in, but kicked out by a Brookline defender. Collected by Samantha Friedman, who loses her balance and loses the ball. Picked up by Casey Rolfs, who tries to kick it down deep, and I think that's going to go out of bounds, and that'll be a goal kick for Brookline. Score still Needham 0, Brookline 0. Both teams looking for the first opening. Anastopoulos kicks it over to Wolf. Wolf tries to kick it over to Meyer, but it's deflected away by Doria, and that'll be another goal kick. We got more subs coming in. Peyton Walker checks out in favor of, I believe, number 28. Having trouble seeing the jersey number of who just checked in for Needham, but either way, Anastopoulos boots the goal kick. Goes all the way to midfield, but collected by Malin Carr. Passed back to Julia Ballas. Ballas loses track of it, though, and it's taken away by Brookline. Passed over to Sari Frankel, who tries to get through traffic, tries to send a pass ahead, but taken away by Needham, cleared by Malin Carr. Pass goes ahead to Lydia Perner, who tries to send the pass out to the far side, finds a teammate, who now passes it further along the far end over to Malin Carr, who's trying to get around a defender, and the ball goes out of bounds. Inbounds pass by Needham. Collected for a minute and then taken away by Brookline. Now Brookline with the ball, trying to clear things out. Pass goes on ahead, but it's taken away by Carr. Carr trying to send a couple of passes away, but it gets taken away by Brookline once again. Not enough space. And Friedman tried to dribble through, but it's taken away by Carr. She just stuffed her there. Carr tried to dribble ahead, lost control of it. It was kicked away, but then recovered by Carr once again. Pass to number 23, who then tried to insert the pass, but it was taken away by Brookline. And we've got a whistle. Monica Iridi was trying to work the ball inside. Then after the deflection, she fought for it and I guess drew a foul. Casey Rolfs passes it over to Iridi. Iridi sends it out to Caroline Hood along the far side. Hood sends it down for number 21, who fights through a defender and then chases after the ball, but it's picked up by Anastopoulos. That was Julia McNaughton trying to chase down the ball, presenting a threat for Brookline, but well collected by Anastopoulos, who now checks it down the far side over to Maddie Moore. Moore passes to Friedman, who then passes it over to Daniela Levy. Levy floats it over one defender, but then it's collected by Malin Carr. Target wasn't there. Carr tries to clear, collected for a second by Friedman, who lost her balance again, but then collected by a teammate, passed back along the defensive line. Caroline Wolf now sends it ahead to Ansley Washburn. Washburn now sends it over to Meyer along the near side. Meyer passes it across midfield back to Washburn. Washburn dribbling, passes it over to Mia Pujols-Braceno. Pujols-Braceno kicks it down the near side, and it's collected by Sari Frankel. She's dribbling against Casey Rolfs, trying to find her way around, trying to gain the edge. She's being pinned in the corner by Rolfs. Great defense by Casey Rolfs, and then Frankel manages to escape and send a touch pass through to, I believe, Washburn, but it's taken away from behind. Collected for a second by Brookline, but then booted away again, and Julia Ballas with the clear. Brookline collects possession. That's Caroline Wolf, who sends it ahead to Pujols-Braceno. We're in the Needham end. But then Pujols-Braceno's through pass gets booted away by Casey Rolfs. Tries to clear, but then once again Brookline collects it. They send it back to their own end, over to Wolf, then over to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney dribbling across midfield. Sends an insert pass, goes to Frankel. Frankel sends a pass. Ansley Washburn is wide open. She's chasing after the ball, but it looks like Wainwright's going to get there first. So Wainwright collects it easily. Nice idea by Sari Frankel, looking to a wide open Ansley Washburn on the near side, but the kick just too close to the goalie and easily collected. So booted in, deflected by Samantha Scully. Then passed ahead by Scully, and it's collected by Meyer, who sends it back to Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos kicks it over to Meyer along the near side. Now Meyer dribbling in space, tries to pass through, deflected by Scully, collected by Sam Doria. Doria passes it over to Perner. Perner tries to send a pass through. Seems to have found an opening. Kick goes high. They had a small window there for Caroline Hood. A nice through pass by Lydia Perner. Found Hood's foot, but there was some traffic. A couple defenders were coming at her from behind, and Hood was forced to kick it with her left foot, and it just flew too high. But once again, Needham making things scary at various points so far. And now Juliana Anastopoulos with the goal kick. Anastopoulos kicks it over to Mahoney. Mahoney back to Anastopoulos. And Anastopoulos ends up getting rushed and booting it out of bounds. Pressure provided by Caroline Hood forced her to rush the pass back and went off the end of her foot and flew out of bounds. And that's going to be a corner kick for Needham. Caroline Hood touches it over to Sam Scully. Scully trying to dribble around the defender and find some space. Sends a centering pass, deflected away by Brookline. That's floating out of the box, but still collected by Needham. It's Julia Ballas sending the pass over to Iridi, but Iridi has it taken away by Pujols-Braceno. Passed ahead to Friedman. Friedman now dribbling in space, getting across midfield. She's being trailed by Iridi. Iridi catching up. Friedman still dribbling. Passes it out to Sari Frankel along the near side. Frankel tries a centering kick, and it floats right into the arms of Wainwright. Brookline's been able to kick it into the box a few times, but hasn't put any significant threats together thus far as Wainwright rolls it over to a teammate along the far side. I believe that's Malin Carr, who dribbles along, kicks it ahead. Another pass, and it goes to Perner. Perner sends it back to Iridi. Iridi tries to pass, but deflected by Pujols-Braceno, but it goes back to Iridi, who then Safely passes it over to Perner. Perner now looking for another through pass, looking for Hood. Hood gains the edge, sends to the centering pass. It's deflected by the goalie. It's free, open in space, but kicked away by a Brookline defender. Collected by another Needham player. Kicked in and grabbed by Anastopoulos. Oh, you know Needham wants that one back. That was such a tantalizing opportunity after the first kick was deflected by Anastopoulos, but then loose in space, but Brookline barely able to collect it. I think it might have been Caroline Wolf who kicked it out and saved the goal. So after Anastopoulos kicks it in, Brookline now passing it around. Seifert had it along the near side, kicks it back to Washburn, back to Seifert. Now over to Frankel. Frankel sends it through to Daniela Levy. Levy gets around a defender, passes it over to Hope Leshley. Leshley gains it around Malin Carr, still dribbling. Gets a little physical for a second, but Leshley recovers, passes over to Friedman. Friedman with a shot, and it bounces harmlessly into Wainwright's arms. Both teams starting to make things move now here in the second quarter. Wainwright boots it over to the near side, looking for Aaron Walker, and instead it bounced off the foot of Seifert. Seifert was trying to cut in front of it, but bounced off her foot. Julia Ballas with the inbound kick goes to Perner. Perner with some nice moves on the aerial ball, sending it over a lot of people, but then collected by Seifert, kicked back to Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos now boots it back in, and it goes to Washburn. Washburn sends it back to Seifert. Seifert kicks it along the near side, finds Levy. Levy gets it down, tries to pass, but it's deflected by Ballas, and then goes to the foot of Maddie Foster, who kicks it over to Sam Scully. Scully sends it over to Hood along the far side. Hood now sends it out for Malin Carr. Malin Carr now dribbling in space along the far side. Fights her way through a defender, but the ball gets taken away by Brookline. Now being kicked along the far side by Brookline, but then it gets taken away by McNaughton, and it goes out of bounds. Touched last, I believe, by Brookline. We've had some exciting chances for both teams. Needham's had quite a few, including that one where they had a ball bounced right in front of the net after a deflection by the goalie, but they weren't able to capitalize. So now McNaughton dribbling along the far side after the inbounds kick. It gets kicked and it goes off the pole. It bounced off the corner pole and then collected by Brookline after a battle for the ball. Brookline now trying to clear it out of the corner. They can't. The pass goes to Hood, who tried to pass to Scully, but deflected and booted out by the Brookline defenders. Well defended in a tough spot. It goes ahead to Daniela Levy, who kicks it ahead. It's collected by Friedman, who tried to pass, but then taken away by Maddie Foster. Sends it over to Aaron Walker, who then touches it back to Ballas. Ballas now dribbling in space. Gives it over to Scully, then back to Ballas. Ballas booting it towards the far side, looking for McNaughton. It gets just away from McNaughton, and it's scooped up by Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos now holding the ball, looking for who to give it to. She gives it to Mahoney. Mahoney then kicks it over to the other side, over to Caroline Wolf. Wolf sends it ahead. A battle for the ball. It's won by Frankel. Frankel now sends a pass along the far side. I believe that's Maddie Moore she's looking for. Moore sends a pass ahead, finds Levy. Levy now sending it through a pass. This is Friedman. Oh, they're calling offsides. Brookline looked like they were going to have a breakaway there, but that's the danger about going for those breakaway plays, is sometimes they just call you offsides and the attack ends dead in its tracks. Nice idea, though, by Brookline, as now Needham gets ready for the free kick. Kicked by Carr, but then taken away by, I believe, Frankel. Actually, no, that wasn't Frankel. That was Chernin, who took it away and was dribbling through traffic before it got deflected out of bounds by a Needham defender. Brookline with the inbounds kick. It's given to Friedman. Now Freeman trying to boot it into the box. It goes over the head of Levy, but now it's in space and rolls into the arms of Wainwright. Another interesting idea, just didn't have the right spot and timing there as Wainwright boots it, and it goes off the foot of Pujols Percento, but then goes to Scully. Scully passes it back to Ballas, then passing ahead looking for Walker, but taken away by Seifert. Then passes ahead to Levy. Levy battling with Ballas, and they manage to keep the ball inbounds, and Levy manages to get the ball. Passes it over to Frankel, who then passes it over to Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan loses control of the ball, though. It's taken away, and it goes to Scully. Scully boots it across midfield, looking for McNaughton. Julia McNaughton now dribbling, tries to pass it, gets deflected away by Mahoney. And now it's taken by Brookline along the far side. They look for an outlet, but then it's taken away by Aridi. Then pass to Hood, and then over to McNaughton. McNaughton dribbling along the far side. Eventually gets taken away by Brookline and booted out of bounds.
So unfortunate.
So it'll be an inbounds kick for Needham in the Brookline zone. Waiting for the whistle. They kick it. It goes to Hood. Hood now dribbling against a defender. She's trying to get around Mahoney. Trying to gain the edge. Mahoney won't let her, and it's deflected out of bounds. That'll remain Needham ball. Hood kicks it in. And it's kicked back, and we got an offsides whistle on Needham this time. So their attack ends dead in its tracks. Brookline with the free kick. It goes to Chernin. Then goes back to Mahoney. Mahoney boots it into space. And it's collected by Frankel. Frankel sends it back to Caroline Wolf. Then back to Frankel. Frankel boots it across midfield, finds Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan collects it, sends a pass over to Daniela Levy along the near side. Levy trying to dribble around a defender. Sends a centering pass, but deflected away by Needham's number 5. I believe that is Maddie Edwards, who took that one away. And Needham working down into the Brookline zone. Bit of contact there, but nothing called. Needham sending along the touch passes. It now finds Sam Scully. Sam Scully boots it over to an open Julia Ballas. Ballas now being covered by a defender. She tries to dribble around and send a floating shot that floats wide. That'll be a goal kick. Ballas got the ball with some space along the near side, but took a little too long trying to decide what to do. A Brookline defender got there, so she had to try and dribble around and send a shot that was just a bit off balance. We've got a massive substitutions for both teams as we play here in this scoreless second quarter. The score, Needham 0, Brookline 0. Juliana Anastopoulos looking for the goal kick. She sends it over to Mahoney. Mahoney then kicks it back to Anastopoulos, then back to Mahoney. Mahoney being defended by Maura Newman. Now kicked over to Anastopoulos, being chased by Aaron Walker. Kicked back to Mahoney. Now Mahoney's got some space, dribbles a bit, now boots it. Looking for Zoe Fagnan, collected by Fagnan. Fagnan dribbling in space. Her kick goes off the back of Maddie Foster, and now the loose ball is being chased by both Aridi and Chernin. Aridi tries to kick it towards midfield, but it's taken away by Brookline. Then it gets taken away again by Needham. Then Brookline takes it away again. This scrum around midfield. And now Chernin sends a pass looking for Kellen McNamara. Then McNamara tries to send along the near side looking for Seifert, but it flies out of bounds. Julia Ballas will have the inbound kick for Needham. Ballas kicks it back. And then it's booted ahead, but intercepted by Hope Leshley. Leshley dribbling through traffic. She finds some space, then kicks it inside to Fagnan. Now Fagnan turns around, tries to boot it into the box, but taken away by a Needham defender. Goes back to Fagnan. Fagnan tries to kick again. It's deflected off of Foster once again, and then collected by one of the defenders and kicked out of bounds. So it looks like this will be a corner kick for Brookline. As that'll be Alex Levy and Sarah Gonzalez. They try to get the attack going, but it's then taken away by Needham. They try and clear it out, and it goes off the hand of Sarah Newman, Maura Newman. Or, oh, I'm a little confused about what the call is, but either way, Needham's got the ball deep in their own end. Either something went out of, no, it wouldn't be out of bounds, so I think they may have been calling either a foul or an offsides on Brookline and giving Needham a free kick. So Ballas with the free kick, she boots it. It bounces, collected by Seifert. And now he got a whistle, and I believe that's halftime. So through 2 quarters, still no score here at Cricket Field The hosting Needham High Rockets 0. The visiting Brookline High Warriors 0. And after 2 quarters, we'll be taking a quick mute break. But we'll be back with the 3rd quarter of play. So stay tuned. I am Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan live at Cricket Field, and I'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to Cricket Field in Needham, Massachusetts. I am Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan, bringing you live coverage of this high school girls soccer match between the hosting Needham High Rockets and the visiting Brookline High Warriors. Through 2 quarters, we are tied between these two teams in a scoreless game. Needham will be getting the ball first. Lydia Perner has the ball at midfield. Got Caroline Hood on the near side and Sam Doria on the far side, and we're underway. It's kicked back to Samantha Scully. Scully dribbles a bit, then kicks it back over to Casey Rolfs. Rolfs sends it along to the near side to Malin Carr, then kicked over to Hood. Hood dribbling against Sarah Gonzalez, then tries to send a pass through to Sophia Wolin. It's taken away, but then the loose ball goes back to Hood. Hood tries to send a through pass, but it gets away from Perner and is collected instead by Lindsay Mahoney. Kicked back to Juliana Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos kicks it out to the far side over to Mila Seifert. And then it gets kicked away by Samantha Scully, goes out of bounds off Brookline. Kicked into Maddie Foster and then taken away. I believe that was Melanie Chernin who kicked it away. And then another pass, it goes to Frankel. Now Frankel trying for a long pass, almost taken away by Hood, but then tipped by Gonzalez over to Zoe Fagnan, then passed back to Hope Leshley, then sent it along to the far side, kicked away, and eventually taken by Needham. That's Samantha Scully, who's trying to send a pass along the far side looking for Sam Doria, and instead the ball is kicked out of bounds off of Doria, heads-up play on the defense by, I believe, Caroline Wolf of Brookline. Kick inbounds goes to Hope Leshley, then goes back to the sidelines, and I think Brookline might have kicked it out of bounds. So now Needham will take the ball. They kick it in. It goes to Sam Scully. Then back out. Then centering kick looking for Foster. Foster tries to kick it in. It's deflected. Brookline Fagnan takes it for a second. Then it's taken away by Wolin. And then it's taken away from Wolin. And now, after a bit of a loose ball fight, it's Frankel with the ball, dribbling against Wolin. She passes it out to Sarah Gonzalez. Gonzalez working along the near side. She passes it over to Samantha Friedman. Friedman now sending a through pass. It's collected by Melanie Chernin. Melanie Chernin trying to dribble around and eventually sends a kick that rolls harmlessly to Cora Wainwright. Pass by Friedman was a nice pass, but it went into the area of 2 teammates, Daniela Levy and Melanie Chernin. And I think the slight confusion for the ball made it so it couldn't move as fast as it needed to. The boot by Wainwright is eventually collected by Chernin. And a touch pass over to Leshley, who tries to kick it in, but then it's taken away by Needham and kicked ahead to midfield to Lydia Perner. Perner sends it out to Scully, who's now battling against Leshley. Passes it back and then booted over across midfield. Scrum for the ball eventually rolls back to Scully, who tries to kick it in. Another deflection and another attempted insert by Needham. And now after another deflection is collected by Wolin, but then taken away by Brookline, by Gonzalez, who passed it over to Fagnan, who tried to kick it in. It's eventually collected by Chernin. Chernin sends a pass back to Wolf, who kicks it ahead. And we've got a handball. Daniela Levy kicked the ball, and it went off of the hand of Peyton Walker. Brookline with the ball near midfield, just barely on the Brookline end. Kicked by Caroline Wolf over to Lindsay Mahoney, who then kicks it across midfield over to Hope Leshley. Leshley sends a pass out to the far side. Then another pass gets to Melanie Chernin, but Melanie Chernin loses control of it. It's collected by Julia Ballas. Ballas kicks it ahead over to Sam Scully, who then sends it out to Peyton Walker along the far side. Walker tries to kick it ahead, but it goes right to a Brookline player. But then after a battle for the ball, it's kicked across midfield, collected by Wolf. Wolf kicks it across, and then another set of deflections. It's collected by Needham. And then an attempted centering pass is deflected and eventually collected by Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan now dribbling, trying to maintain control, dribbling against Hood. She gets around, tries to send a centering pass, is deflected, and then the ball gets deflected again out of bounds by Malin Carr. So nice defense by Caroline Hood, following with Fagnan, and then Malin Carr to back her up. But it's out of bounds and Brookline ball. Sarah Gonzalez tapped over to Fagnan. Fagnan now fakes, dribbles around a defender, now sends a centering pass in, they were looking for Levy, but they couldn't quite get it. It's collected by Peyton Walker instead, who dribbles and then tries to send a pass along, finds her target, trying to dribble through traffic, but too much traffic, and it's booted away by Caroline Wolf. Oh, they're blowing whistles and the players are a little confused. I think this is one of the other new COVID rules, which is that if a ball is going to cross midfield, it has to do so on the ground. You can't do a kick that goes in the air and goes over midfield, otherwise it's a violation. So now Needham getting the free kick off of one of the weird new rules. Oh, but the Needham players immediately get swarmed. They take the ball away, and now Melanie Chernin sends a floater right into the arms of Wainwright. So a bit of disaster there on the free kick for Needham, but Brookline not able to put enough zing on their eventual kick, and it's saved by Wainwright. Wainwright boots it in, another battle for the ball. An attempted centering pass gets taken away by Fagnan. Taps it over to Leshley, who then sends a long pass over to Gonzalez. Gonzalez now trying to control it, sends it back to Mahoney. Mahoney sends it over to Fagnan. Fagnan dribbles around a defender, boots it, and I think that one's going to go out of bounds. So we'll be out of bounds near midfield, inbounded by Needham. Sam Scully passes it over to Maddie Foster. Foster sending a pass along the far side, looking for Doria, but it gets taken away by Brookline, and then the attempted clear is collected by Needham. An attempted dribble through, but players get tangled up, and I think they're going to call that foul on Needham. That was Casey Rolfs, who had collected the attempted clear and was attempting to fight through a defender. Got a little too physical in the process, and instead Brookline gets a free kick. Wolf taps it over to Leshley, kicked back to Wolf, kicked over to Lindsay Mahoney, kicked back to Leshley, then back to Wolf. Brookline passing in triangles now. Now another pass back. This one goes back to Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos now kicks it over to Leshley. Leshley kicks it back to Mahoney. Mahoney kicks it over to Fagnan. Fagnan almost had it taken away by Hood, but she maintains control and gets some space. Sends it along to Gonzalez along the near side. Gonzalez sends it over to Fagnan. No, that's Frankel. Frankel sends a centering pass, deflected off the foot of Chernin, and then collected by Fagnan. Fagnan now looking for a pass along the side, and they're going to call offsides. They're sending it down the far sideline, but offsides called, as again, they just didn't quite have the timing right on the through pass. Needham with another free kick. Brookline again trying to swarm them. A kick is deflected off the foot of Daniela Levy and goes out of bounds. Attempted inbound kick is stolen away immediately by Melanie Chernin. Chernin fights through one defender and then runs into too much traffic and it gets deflected out of bounds, but Brookline maintains possession within the Needham end. Chernin with the inbound kick sends it back. Then kicked ahead over to Frankel, then tapped over to Chernin. Chernin looking for some space. She gets around a defender, centering kick, and it goes out of bounds. Some good work along the edge by Melanie Chernin, but the kick just sailed wide. So now Cora Wainwright will get the goal kick. Taps it over to Julia Ballas. Ballas now sends it ahead to Foster. It almost gets taken away, but then goes to Carr. Carr sends it over to Wolin. Wolin sends a pass ahead to Hood, goes off her foot and collected by Perner. Lydia Perner trying to send a pass ahead. Now it's a foot race, and the foot race is won by Caroline Wolf, who has to kick it out of bounds as Caroline Hood was in pursuit. Just barely missed setting up the corner kick. Instead, it'll be a regular inbounds kick. And we've got a substitution for Needham. We got 3 players coming in. So now the inbounds kick. It's a touch kick over to one of the new entrances, Catherine Reddish, but then it gets taken away by Brookline. Gonzalez tried to kick it and clear it, but it's collected by Carr. Carr passes it over to Hood. Hood dribbling against Gonzalez, looking for some space. She sends a centering pass in. It rolls past a bunch of players and eventually gets to the foot of a Brookline player as they try and clear it once again. A Needham player deflects it back towards the net, and it's collected by Hood. Hood tries to dribble, and it bounces off the foot of a Brookline defender and goes out of bounds. Malin Carr with the inbounds kick over to Hood. Caroline Hood dribbling against a defender, one-on-one, and it's stolen. Well played defensively by Zoe Fagnan. She sends a centering pass over to Chernin. Chernin boots it over the midfield line. No call that time. These new rules confuse me, but either way, Needham collects it, and they're trying to clear. Maura Newman gets it past midfield. She was looking for Sampdoria, but instead it goes out of bounds, and it'll be Brookline ball. Inbounds kick goes over to Hope Leshley. Leshley dribbling, sends it back to Lindsay Mahoney. And Mahoney sends the kick along the middle over to Chernin. Chernin tries a through pass for Friedman, but it gets kicked away by Carr. But then it's collected by Levy. Daniela Levy dribbling, tries to kick, but it's deflected by the defender, Peyton Walker, collected by Chernin. And then Walker takes it away again, tries to clear, goes over a player's head, collected by Perner. Perner dribbling against Wolf, and it gets deflected out of bounds. It'll stay Needham ball around midfield. Well defended by Needham. A couple of lucky deflections went Brookline's way, and they tried to maintain the attack, but Needham with some good defense there and some nice work on the clearing kick. Doria with the inbounds kick over to Hood across midfield. Hood dribbling through traffic and gets it taken away by Chernin. Kicked ahead to Sari Frankel. Frankel with the touch pass, and then it's booted down, looking for Friedman. Friedman with a defender on her. She kicks it back to Hope Leshley. Leshley dribbling through some space, but almost gets taken away by Newman. She loses control of it for a second. A Needham player kicked it. It deflected off Leshley. And then Needham tried to clear it. Couldn't quite do it. Collected by Friedman. And Friedman sends a kick down the far side. And I think they're calling offsides on Brookline. So Needham will get the free kick inside their own end. Couple touch passes, and then they try to clear, and it goes straight out of bounds. So now the inbounds kick for Brookline. We've got another mass of substitutions. Number of new players coming in for Brookline. Among them, Maddie Moore and Mia Pujols-Brisello. So the inbounds kick goes to Pujols-Brisello, who tries to fight through a couple defenders but can't get through the second one. The pass goes ahead to Hood, and then over to Julia McNaughton along the far side. Maddie Moore was battling for the ball. The ball goes out of bounds, and it'll be Brookline's ball. Moore sends the inbound kick back to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney dribbling against McNaughton. She sends it back to Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos boots it. It's collected by Malin Carr. Carr looking for an opening. She kicks it, and it rolls into the hands of Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos tries to throw it in, but it gets taken away by Needham, and it now goes to the foot of Reddish, but then taken away by Zoe Fagnan. Oh, and a hard kick by Fagnan goes right off the head of Maura Newman. And Newman goes down, and we've got a brief stoppage in play. That's one of those tough plays. You get one of those every game. There was one on Tuesday as well, where the player's trying to make a big kick, trying to clear, and then someone's just in the wrong place at the wrong time. So we certainly hope that Maura Newman is okay as she stays down on the grass, holding her head. And she's starting to get back up as the trainer comes out to check on her. Newman able to get up on her feet, gets a well-deserved round of applause from the crowd. And she's probably going to be taken off, if only temporarily, just to check and make sure. You got to make sure with head injuries. I don't care if it's football, hockey, or soccer, it doesn't matter. You got to make sure that that head is protected. So after the stoppage in play, Looks like Brookline will get a free kick, since they were technically in possession before Newman went down. So kick goes to Mahoney. Back and forth with Wolf, I believe. Then kicked back to Anastopoulos. Hood was in pursuit, but Anastopoulos able to kick it out, get it to Chernin. Chernin gets around a defender. Now trying to juke her out again. Tries to send a through pass over to Pujols Perseno. Gets away, but then almost collected by Fagnan. And then ultimately collected by Kendall Freeze, who sends it across midfield, but collected by Needham. They try and clear, but it's collected by Maddie Moore. Then she kicks it too far ahead, and it's taken away by Malin Carr. And Malin Carr, showing some speed, getting around the edge. She tries to kick it ahead, but it's taken away by Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney kicks it to Fagnan. Fagnan dribbling for a bit, then kicks it over to Pujols Perseno. Pujols Perseno dribbling. Kicks it over to the far side to Annabelle Meyer. Her kick goes out of bounds off Sampdoria, so it'll be Brookline ball. The inbounds kick goes back to Caroline Wolf. Wolf kicks it over to Pujols Perseno in the middle. Pujols Perseno tries to send it through to Alex Levy, but it gets taken away by Casey Rolfs. Rolfs now dribbling, Levy in pursuit. Now Chernin in pursuit as well, and she eventually kicks it over to the near side, over to Julia McNaughton. McNaughton now dribbling against Maddie Moore. She sends a kick away, but it goes out of bounds. Couldn't quite gain the edge there, well defended by Moore. And now Moore with the inbounds kick gives it to Mahoney. Mahoney gives it back to Moore. Moore now kicks it. It deflects off the foot of Levy, but then collected by Carr, but then taken away by Alex Levy once again. Levy dribbling, looking for a place to go. Tries to pass over to Pujols Perseno, but taken away by Scully and tapped ahead to Hood. Hood now trying to gain the edge, trying to dribble around Caroline Wolf. She shoots off the crossbar. Collected by McNaughton, another shot, and it goes high and wide. Oh, they don't get much tougher than that. Well played by Scully and Hood. Hood almost had her second goal in 3 days, but it bounced off the bottom of the crossbar and did not cross the line. So now Anastopoulos with a goal kick. Sends it ahead. Alex Levy tried to collect it, but instead it's Casey Rolfs who sends it ahead to McNaughton. McNaughton touches it over to Hood. Hood spins around, finds some traffic, trying to dribble around, trying to send a pass. Intercepted by Chernin. Chernin tries to clear it over to the far side, but collected by Sampdoria, who sends it back. Pass then goes into Hood, but then it's taken away by Zoe Fagnan. Pass sent ahead, but deflects off the foot of a Brookline player, collected by Peyton Walker. Walker keeping up the pressure. She passes it in to Sam Scully along the far side. And then booted out of bounds by Caroline Wolf to try and slow down the Needham attack a little bit. Now the inbounds pass goes to Scully, then back out, and now tried to kick back into McNaughton. McNaughton tried to kick it over to Reddish, but it was too far away, mistimed, and now Brookline takes over. The pass goes to Maddie Moore. She tries to kick it, deflected by McNaughton, but then Moore collects it, boots it across midfield, collected by Julia Ballas. Ballas tries to boot it as well. After a deflected ball, it's going to be Brookline's ball. They're saying it went off the foot of Julia McNaughton. And we've got another set of substitutions. Looks like Hope Leshley will be checking back into the game, as will Mila Seifert, replacing Melanie Chernin and Zoe Fagnan. And I'm mistaken, that's not Seifert, that is number 15, Liv Ernst. So Moore with the kick, over to Mia Pujols Perseno. Perseno was battling with Maura Newman, and it goes out of bounds again, once again off Needham. Moore with the inbounds kick, sends it over to Leshley. Leshley dribbling against Maddie Foster, trying to find the outlet, but it's kicked away by Foster and then kicked away by McNaughton. Sent ahead to Hood. Hood sends a pass over to Scully. Scully sends it over to Newman. They're across midfield in the Brookline zone, but then Newman loses control and it's taken away by Alex Levy. Levy sends a pass back to Wolf. Then pass ahead, it goes to Liv Ernst. Ernst kicks it across midfield looking for a teammate, but instead it goes to Malin Carr, who then passes it over to Scully, then over to Foster. Foster brings it across midfield. Sends a pass over to Doria along the far side. Kicks it back to Peyton Walker. Walker boots it down deep into the Brookline zone. Wolf collects it though. Kicks it over to Mahoney. Mahoney boots it into the air. Now a battle for the ball, and I think they're going to say either a foul on Needham or, yeah, they're going to say a foul on Needham or maybe a handball off the high bouncing kick. And so Wolf kicks it over to Pujols-Braceno. Then across midfield over to Leshley. Leshley dribbling in space. She's got room to work with. Finally meets a defender, tries to send a pass, but nobody there. And it's cleared by Peyton Walker. Goes back to Wolf. Wolf was being pursued by Hood, so she sends it over to Mahoney. Then Mahoney sends it across midfield over to Liv Ernst, but it's taken away by Julia McNaughton. McNaughton dribbles across midfield, gives it over to Hood along the far side. Hood looking to pass to Doria. It's a race for the ball. Doria almost won, but the kick goes out of bounds. And they're going to say it went off of Brookline, and so that's going to be a corner kick for Needham. Caroline Hood and Samantha Scully over in the corner to start this play. Hood taps it over to Scully. Scully boots it high in the air, and it's over everybody. And it rolls all the way out of bounds on the opposite end of the field. We've seen some kicks that didn't have enough gas on them. That one had too much. So this will be an inbound kick by Brookline. It goes over to Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos boots it. A little bit dangerous there, but it goes to Alex Levy, who then kicks it back to Ernst. Ernst trying to get across midfield, but runs into traffic with Maura Newman. Taps it over to Pujols-Braceno. Braceno being chased by Scully. Almost has it taken away, but she's able to get around. Now being chased by Newman. Tries to send a pass. Can't find her target. It's taken away by Carr. Passed over to Newman. Maura Newman dribbling against Maddie Moore. She passes it over to McNaughton, then back to Newman on a nice give-and-go play, but just slightly off the mark, and it goes out of bounds. So it'll be another inbounds kick for Brookline. It's kicked back to Mahoney, and then kicked along the near sideline. Almost kept in bounds by Alex Levy, but she couldn't quite get enough control of it, and so it'll be an inbounds kick for Needham as another sub comes into the game. Malin Carr will be doing the inbound kick for Needham. It's kicked into Hood, who kicks it out of traffic over to McNaughton, now battling with Moore. Moore takes the ball away and kicks it back to Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos boots it into traffic, and we've got a whistle. And I think that's the end of the, that's the end of the third quarter. So the game remains scoreless through 3 out of 4 quarters. The score, the Needham High Rockets 0, the Brookline High Warriors 0. I'm Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan, live at Cricket Field in Needham, Massachusetts, and I'll be back with the 4th and final quarter of play after a short mute break. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to Cricket Field in Needham, Massachusetts. I am Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan, bringing you live coverage of this high school girls soccer match between the hosting Needham High Rockets and the visiting Brookline High Warriors. We are scoreless through 3 quarters, heading into the final quarter of regulation with a 0-0 tie. Give credit to Needham, though. They've put together some impressive attacks while missing 3 of their starters in Claudia Schmidt, Maddie Ledbury, and Jacqueline Pusillo, who are all out quarantining after their math teacher tested positive for COVID. So Brookline will be starting with the ball, and it'll be Alex Levy with the ball in the middle. Kendall Freeze on the near side, as it's passed back to Hope Leshley. Leshley dribbles through, sends a pass over to the far side to Gianna Pentland. Pentland sends it back to Leshley as she ran into some traffic. Leshley gets around a defender. Now she's dribbling in space. Tries to send a through pass. It's going to be a race for the ball, but it's collected by Julia Ballas of Needham and kicked out of bounds. So Brookline will stay on the attack deep in Needham's end. Out of bounds. Not as much space to work with in this corner, though. So touch in, and then a boot towards the center. And it's kicked away by Malin Carr. Well played defensively. And now Needham clears it. Sam Scully dribbling, sends a pass ahead, but it bounces too hard off the foot, but collected by, I believe, Lydia Perner. She kicks it across midfield, but it's collected by Maddie Moore, who then kicks it back to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney kicks it through. Almost collected by Levy, but she just missed it. And instead it's collected by Malin Carr, who sends it back to Julia Ballas. Ballas boots it across midfield. Gets on the foot of Mahoney, who taps it over to Mia Pujols-Braceno. Tries to send a pass over to Liv Ernst, but just missed. And instead it gets tapped over to Maddie Foster. Foster dribbling in space. Tries to send a pass over to Sam Doria. and runs into too much traffic, taken away by Brookline. Hope Leshley now dribbling it across midfield, plenty of space to work with. She finally runs into a defender. Trying to work around the edge, but well defended by Casey Rolfs. The deflected ball goes over to Alex Levy, though, and then a couple of passes, and then over to number 20, Kendall Fries, whose shot goes just wide of the net. Cora Wainwright was right there in net for Needham, so even if it stayed in bounds, it probably wasn't going in. But it bounces out of bounds, and it'll be a goal kick for Wainwright. She taps it over to Ballas. Ballas sends it ahead to Scully. Scully sends it over to Carr along the near side. Carr dribbling against Fries. Still trying to find an opening, and instead she kicks it out of bounds. So good pressure by Kendall Fries, as now Brookline gets an inbounds kick. Maddie Moore with the kick. She boots it into the air, into traffic. It's eventually collected by Brookline. Kicked ahead, looking for Fries, but instead it's kicked out of bounds by Malin Carr. Gianna Pentland sent the pass, trying to look ahead for it, but instead it's kicked out of bounds by a defender. So Moore taps it over to Fries, then taps back to Moore, hits some traffic, deflected into space. Pujols-Braceno then gets her foot on it, tries to kick it in. There's now a battle for the ball, and I think they're either going to call a foul or an offsides on Brookline. It's tough when you don't know which way the ball's going to go. You think it's going one way, and you try and chase towards it, but then it just goes the other way, and all of a sudden you're offsides. Julia Ballas with the kick. She boots it into the air. It gets past Pujols-Braceno, but collected by Caroline Wolf. Wolf kicks it across midfield, and it's collected by Needham. They're trying to clear it over across midfield, but they're running into a lot of traffic, and I think we had a handball there. And I do believe that handball is going to be against Brookline, so it'll be another free kick for Needham. I believe this is Peyton Walker kicking it away. Booted across midfield and finds Sam Doria on the far side, but she can't quite collect it, and instead it's collected by Hope Leshley, who sends the pass ahead to Alex Levy. Levy being well defended, she tries to pass it over to Ernst, who then gets around a defender, passes over to Pujols-Braceno, who then passes it over to Leshley. Leshley trying to get around Maddie Foster. She does, but loses control of the ball, and it's taken away by Sam Doria, who is now racing along the far sideline. She runs into Wolf. Wolf deflects it away, and now Wolf kicks it, and it goes off of Doria and out of bounds, so I think Brookline will be taking the ball back. Good defense by Caroline Wolf. And now Brookline will get the inbounds kick. Kick goes in, back to Wolf. Wolf boots it, skips past a couple of players, skips off the foot of Alex Levy, and is then collected by Gianna Pentland. Pentland dribbling against Peyton Walker. She stops and pulls back, and then passes it back over to the Brookline end to Wolf. Wolf tries to send a pass through to, I believe, Zoe Fagnan. It then gets passed back, and then gets passed back into Fagnan, who passes it ahead to Pujols-Braceno, then over to Ernst, then touched over to, offsides again. That was Kendall Fries, who didn't quite time it right and got called for the offsides. Well played by the Needham defense. Ballas with the free kick. She taps it over to Scully, then tapped back to Ballas. Ballas boots it. Collected by Pujols-Braceno, a bit far out in front of her, and instead it gets taken away by Sam Scully. Scully dribbling in space. She tries to send a pass down to Caroline Hood along the near side, but instead it's collected by Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney sends it back to Anastopoulos. Juliana Anastopoulos boots it into the air. A battle for the ball between Fries and Carr. It's won by Fries, and she kicks it over to Liv Ernst. Gianna Pentland, who then kicks it along down the far side over to Hope Leshley. Leshley, she's got the edge on a couple of defenders, but then eventually Julia Ballas kicks it out of bounds, and we'll have a corner kick for Brookline. Leshley was racing down along the far side, but then Ballas eventually managed to catch up with her just enough to force it out of bounds. We got 4 subs coming in for Brookline as they get ready for the corner kick. Try and get some offense together. Both sides looking for their first score. Brookline 0, Needham 0. Melanie Chernin and Zoe Fagnan amongst those coming back into the game. Brookline taps it, a centering kick. It bounced away from Levy, bounced away from a couple of players. Fagnan got her foot on it, but couldn't get enough on it as it bounces harmlessly to Wainwright, and its trajectory looked like it was headed for the post anyway. Wainwright boots it over the head of Levy. Battle for position. It's eventually got by Hood, who passes it ahead to Lydia Perner. Perner then boots it, looking for Doria on the opposite end of the field, but it bounces away from her and is collected. I believe that's Mila Seifert. And we got a grab from behind by Doria as Seifert was chasing down the ball, and that'll be a foul call against Needham, so Brookline will get the free kick. Caroline Wolf lining up for the free kick for Brookline. Or, no, they're going to have their keeper, Juliana Anastopoulos, come way out of the net and boot this one. She boots it well across midfield, so no threat there. Collected by Freeze. Freeze tries to kick it, deflected. Well deflected by Malin Carr, and now Needham trying to clear it, but it's kicked back in by Brookline. Needham trying to kick it back out again. There's a scrum for the ball, and it gets sent to about midfield, collected by Wolf. Wolf then sends a pass over to Pujols-Braceno. Pujols-Braceno dribbling against Maddie Foster, kicks it down the far side, and almost sent out of bounds, but ultimately collected by Doria, who tried to pass it over to a teammate and then clear, but it was deflected by a Brookline player. Brookline now passing around, passed back to Pujols-Braceno, tried to send it into Fagnan, but too far, gets deflected out by a Needham defender. Brookline collects the clear once again. The pass goes back to Wolf, then over to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney passes it towards the center to Fagnan. Fagnan was being pressured, had to pass it over to Pujols-Braceno, then sends it along the far side. The attempted pass towards the center is deflected away by Needham, and now Needham dribbling in space. I think that's Wolin, who passes it over to Perner. It gets deflected, but then goes back to Wolin, who then kicks it over to Hood along the near side. Hood has some space, passes it over. The attempted pass is deflected from Sam Scully, but she chases it down and then sends it down for Hood. Hood with the centering kick. Nobody there. And so the Brookline defense harmlessly kicks it away, but it goes out of bounds. Caroline Wolf was prioritizing the clear rather than an outlet pass, which makes sense in that situation when it gets kicked into the box, but it does go out of bounds. And so Needham will get the inbounds kick. This will be Malin Carr kicking it in. Carr kicks it over to Hood, and then it gets kicked out of bounds by a Brookline defender. I think that is Sarah Gonzalez. Kicked in once again. This time it goes to Scully. Scully dribbling against a couple of Brookline defenders. Fagnan screens it off, and then Gonzalez with the attempted kick. It gets deflected out of bounds, and so Brookline will get possession. Gonzalez kicks it, but they blow the whistle, so... Oh, there's a substitution, that's why. Looks like Sari Frankel and Samantha Friedman checking back into the game for Brookline. So now it's kicked in. It's kicked back to Gonzalez. Gonzalez was trying to find Frankel, but it's intercepted by Carr. Carr tries to send a pass, but it's deflected by Wolf and collected by Chernin. Chernin sends a pass along to the far side. And the pass attempted to go back to Chernin, but it's taken away by Needham. A scrum for the ball eventually goes to the foot of Scully. Scully sends it back to Maddie Foster. Foster sends it over to the far side to Maura Newman. And then a give-and-go play. And it gets collected by Needham. Another attempted centering kick, and it's booted out by Lindsay Mahoney. Needham with some nice play there to keep up the pressure. The score still Needham 0, Brookline 0. Here we are in the fourth quarter of play. The inbound kick goes to Newman, and then back, and then deflected by a couple defenders. Newman collects it, tries to send it in, and it's collected by Anastopoulos. Bit dangerous there. Perner had her foot right near the ball, and the right deflection could have gone into the net, but instead it's collected by Anastopoulos, who boots it towards midfield. It's collected by Carr. Carr tried to dribble away, but couldn't quite do it. It's taken away by Frankel. Frankel now dribbling, going around one player. Kicks the pass over to Daniela Levy. Levy tries to send it along the far sideline. Couldn't be collected by Seifert, and it'll go out of bounds. Went over the head of Seifert. So now Needham with the ball. They try and clear it, but it's taken away by Brookline, kicked back to Fagnan, kicked over to Pujols-Braceno, then back over to Fagnan. Fagnan looking for an opening. She passes it, and then it's attempted to kick ahead. That was off of Chernin. And now the deflection goes back to Fagnan. Fagnan tries to send a pass over to Gonzalez, and they're going to call offsides just before the ball bounced out of bounds anyway. Gonzalez, positioning herself along the near side, was calling for it, but the pass wasn't quite there. So the inbound kick goes to Ballas. Ballas tries to clear it, bounces past a few people, collected by Pujols-Braceno, who kicks it over to Daniela Levy. Levy trying to get around a defender, can't quite do it. And so we got a loose ball. It's booted towards midfield and collected by Sophia Wolin, who's now dribbling against a defender, sends a pass over to Scully. Scully now sending a pass over to Caroline Hood. Hood chasing it down. Nobody near her. She's not quite near the net, though. She's going to have to send a centering kick. She does. It's a little too powerful, and that's going to be either a handball or out of bounds as it bounced off the arm of Maura Newman. Again, just a little too much mustard on those centering kicks. So now Anastopoulos boots it. It's collected by Friedman. Friedman dribbling around a defender, tries to send a pass, but not enough on it, and it's taken away by Malin Carr. Carr sends the pass over to Scully. Scully passes it over to Wolin. Wolin dribbling with it. She sends it over to Peyton Walker along the far side. Walker dribbling with it. Tries to send the pass ahead to Newman. And instead it's kicked off of Newman by a Brookline defender. I believe that was Seifert. So after a couple of kicks go off of Newman, one by Seifert and one by Wolf, it goes out of bounds, and it'll be another goal kick for Brookline. Juliana Anastopoulos getting ready for the goal kick for Brookline. She boots it into the air. Friedman goes off her foot, and it's collected by Monica Uridi, who then passes it over to Sam Scully, then over to Caroline Hood. Hood dribbling against Gonzalez and Mahoney. Hood with some fancy footwork to almost get around everybody, but if she loses track of the ball and Anastopoulos dives on it. Anastopoulos throws it over to Gonzalez along the near side. Gonzalez boots it into the air, collected by Daniela Levy. Levy now dribbling in space. She's got Rolfs coming up behind her, and they're going to say a foul on Brookline. Some nice pursuit by Casey Rolfs on the defense there. Brought that to a screeching halt. And now Needham getting the free kick. It's Julia Ballas. Ballas boots it across midfield. And Perner trying to collect it, but too much traffic, and Zoe Fagnan kicks it out. Levy tried to collect it, but it's kicked away by Peyton Walker. Then kicked ahead by Seifert, but it gets deflected away once again. Needham sends a pass over to Perner. Dangerous pass over to Hood. Hood with the kick, and it goes wide. Another strong chance for Needham and another strong chance for Caroline Hood, who is still trying to score her second goal in 3 days. She had the lone goal of Tuesday's game, and she's had some very dangerous chances so far today. Hood, one of the youngest players out on the pitch right now, a sophomore, and she's proving a dangerous underclassman. Anastopoulos with the goal kick. Launches it. Deflected by Levy, but it's taken away by Uridi. Tries to pass it out, but it's taken away by Brookline. I believe that was Seifert, who then sends a centering kick. Gets deflected around, but then collected by Fagnan. Sends the pass over to Gonzalez. Tries to pass it to Friedman, but a little too high, and it's collected by Ballas. Ballas boots it across midfield, collected by Mahoney. Mahoney dribbles around one, and then passes over to Fagnan. Fagnan with a pass over to Melanie Chernin. Chernin gets around one defender, sends a pass along the far side looking for Seifert. Seifert collects the ball, now sends a pass over to Levy. Levy has it taken away by Uridi and then booted by, I believe, Newman. They try to send it to Perner. Perner manages to get control of it, passes it, and no, she didn't pass it. She got around a defender. She's breaking away. Oh, but chased down by Mahoney. Good hustle by Mahoney to just get in front of her and deflect her attempted shot with the back of her leg. And so Anastopoulos collects it easily. drops it, and then boots it over to Gonzalez along the near side. Gonzalez dribbles across midfield, then sends a centering kick, collected by Levy. Daniela Levy dribbling against a defender. She passes it over to, Frankel. Frankel tries to send a through pass, deflected away by the defense. The deflection goes back to Gonzalez. Gonzalez has a little bit of space, but no more as Scully chases her down. Gonzalez kicks it, and it goes off of Scully's foot and out of bounds. That was right near the flag, so that's either going to be an inbounds kick or a corner kick. We'll see what the officials give him. They're going to give him the corner kick. No, it looks like, no, it's going to be an inbounds kick. Or is the official saying corner kick? A little confusing right now. We've got Chernin kicks it over to Frankel. Frankel battling against Scully. She gets a pass over to Chernin. Chernin boots it towards the center. Off of the foot of Friedman and out of bounds. Again, nice idea. Just slightly off the mark there as Friedman tried to deflect the centering kick. But it went off the end of her foot and flew well out of bounds. No chance at the net there. Goal kick by Wainwright. They send a few passes along. But now this one gets taken away by Leshley. Hope Leshley dribbling. Trying to get through space, but too many defenders. It gets cleared by Needham. Perner tries to send along a touch pass, but she's finding some fight from the defense. She still manages to maintain possession and get a pass along to Caroline Hood. Hood gets around one defender. Can't get around a second one, though, as Leshley takes it away and it's collected by Fagnan. Passed over to Seaford along the far side. Now booted ahead to Frankel. Frankel tries to send a pass through to Levy, but it skips away from her and goes out of bounds. Peyton Walker with the inbound kick. Sends it over to Newman. Then over to Wolin, but Wolin can't get a good pass off, and it's taken away by Brookline. It goes over to Chernin. Chernin sends a centering pass over to Fagnan. Fagnan now sends it along to Gonzalez on the near side. Gonzalez tries a centering kick. It's collected by Friedman. Passed over to Frankel, who then passes it back to Friedman again. Friedman has the edge, tries to kick, but it rolls harmlessly into the arms of Cora Wainwright. Had the edge slightly, but couldn't quite get enough of it to get off a good kick. As Wainwright boots it, but it's kicked by Gonzalez. It's kicked back to Leshley. Leshley tries to pass it ahead to Chernin. Chernin had to battle a little bit to regain possession, but she does, passes it back to Leshley, then over to Frankel, who deflects it. And then that pass is sent ahead to Friedman. Friedman trying to get some space. She boots a kick, and it's again collected by Wainwright. Sarah Gonzalez was standing off to the near sideline. Nobody around her. Friedman did have a nice chance at the net, though. Just couldn't get enough juice on it. So after the free kick, we had some scrums for the ball. And then they called either out of bounds or a foul on Needham. So now Brookline will get to kick it in the Needham end. And they're bringing Anastopoulos, the goalie, all the way out to the Needham end for this kick. This has to be a direct kick, so she can send it into the air. She boots it into the air. Everybody's scrambling towards the net. Deflected, it's in! Goal for Brookline! Who was that? Let me see if I can see who that was. I think that might have been Zoe Fagnan. Number 6, Zoe Fagnan with the huge deflection goal late in the game off a big assist by the goalie of all people, Juliana Anastopoulos. Now Needham trying to get on the attack. The pass goes through to Caroline Hood along the near side. Poked away by Friedman and goes out of bounds. Needham now operating with a lot more urgency as they now trail 1-0. Caroline Hood passes it back to Sam Scully. Scully passes it back to Carr. Carr sends a pass over to Aridi. Aridi sends a pass over to Newman on the far side. Newman taps it over to Peyton Walker. Peyton Walker working along the far sideline, being chased. She tries to center it, but it goes right to Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos holding onto the ball. And that's it! Time expires as Anastopoulos held onto the ball. That was Needham's last chance. And Brookline with the payback win against Needham. The final score, the Brookline High Warriors 1, the Needham High Rockets 0. What a brilliant play late in the game. Brookline with the daring to bring in their goalie all the way over to the opposing end for a direct kick. It was something they had done earlier in the game in their own end, but they brought some extra daring with that play, as the direct kick allowed her to boot it into the air and give her enough time to race back to her net. She sent it into the box. Tons of players were chasing after the ball, and ultimately it was the foot of Zoe Fagnan who deflected it into the net for Brookline's first goal of the season and first win of the season. So a nice, hard-fought, down-to-the-wire home-and-home series between Brookline and Needham. Needham got the win, 1-0 on Tuesday, and Brookline comes away with the last-minute win, 1-0 today. Well, that'll do it from Cricket Field in Needham, Massachusetts. Your final score, Brookline 1, Needham 0. Zoe Fagnan, the lone goal off the assist from Juliana Anastopoulos. I am Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan, signing off.